to get my little, getting my bandana. You know what I mean? Putting it on a little bit. So we're revisiting this 2009 NBA draft again. This is the installation of the series. All right, let's see. So next we got Eric Maynard. Eric Maynard in Virginia. He's a Virginia guy. Uh, I think Northern Virginia guy. May have come from the school that produced Jonathan Henson, that played at North Carolina. Won a title with Giannis and those guys out in Milwaukee. Um, played with him. Well, his team had a tournament that I was playing at a few years ago in Tampa. He was there a few times. Brought his team. I think they won it all. Yeah, Eric Maynard, man, he was good, man. He played at VCU. I'm not sure if Shaka Smart was still the coach at that time, but Shaka Smart built that program with Rodriguez and a few of those guys. They went to a Final Four, so VCU started becoming a powerhouse. I don't think they were able to tough at the mid-major schools because like coaching changes. You know what I mean? And it's also tough now because you have the transfer portal, so people are basically getting paid to go to a bigger name school or things like that. But yeah, Maynard was good, man. Um, E. Maynard, E. Maynard, man. He had that big shot. If you remember, they played against Duke in the first round of the tournament, and I felt like a lot of people felt like they could upset Duke that year. And he crosses up Greg Paulus and then hits the big shot. So yeah, shout out to Eric Maynard. Played at the got drafted by the Utah Jazz. Played with the Thunder for a little bit too. So yeah, I mean, good player. What, about 6'3" or so. Good player. You know what I mean? Respect them. You know what I mean? Some people find like their niche and their role a little bit more easily in the NBA. You know what I mean? Maybe there could have been like a better fit for his style, or maybe he could have had the ball in his hands a little more in different situations. Still had a dope, still did well, first round pick. Um, Dope in college. Shout out to E. Maynard, one of my favorite NBA players, probably all time. Darren Collison, man. Darren Collison, man. I used to watch him play a lot at Idawanda or Etowanda, or if anybody knows how to pronounce that school in California, man. Uh, yeah, interesting. Fun fact: um, the way Drew Holiday met his now current wife. Yo, hey, it's Eric Maynard, and I mean it's Darren Collison, and his wife was like, "Nah, he's not Darren Collison." And she said some other things, but I don't want to go into the personal things. But yeah, that's how he met his wife his freshman year. Lauren Holiday, the soccer great for Team USA. That was my era of Team USA women's soccer. Loved it. Alex Morgan, um, Shannon Box. Shout out to all of them. Love that era of women's soccer. Shout out to the women's team that just won the title just now. Yeah, I mean Darren Collison, really good defender. Um, Played with a lot of great players at UCLA. Played with Kev Love. Played with Drew Holiday. Played with Russell Westbrook. I believe he was there also during that time. Thanks for the like. I appreciate you. Uh, or yeah, appreciate you. But yeah, played with Drew Holiday. Played with who else played with him there? I think he might have played with Aaron Aflalo and hey, appreciate the like as well. Let me know where you're from. What's kick kish kicks shins? Okay, you a soccer person? Where you from? Drew Holiday. Um, he also played with Jordan Famar. I believe he played with Jordan Famar as well. But Famar went early to the NBA, so yeah, some interesting stories with all those guys. Um, Victor Claver, yes, a guy from Spain, played with Portland. Um, I think he was about like a, I guess he was like a wing. In my head, he was. Oh, nice. Do you do like some like arts and stuff? Like you do like fighting, taekwondo, anything like that? And where you from? Thanks for joining too. Um, who else? This is the like some of the prime of Spain basketball. Omri Caspi, cool player. Omri Caspi did a lot of great things for Israel. Um, respect. This is it's a serious time. Oh, really? So you were in the army in Iraq? Wow. Thanks for your service. That's dope. That's cool. That's cool. I can dig it. So you were in the army? Omri Caspi, he was big. He was big for the Israeli, basketball. Um, paved the way, paved the way in that space. Definitely want to be mindful of what's going on and with the Palestine Israeli situation is a very serious situation, and I don't want to make light of that. And I do want to see positive things within that area because these are human beings that are trying to live, and I know the Lord loves people and has a special place for people in the Middle East. So, Omri Caspi, about 6'9", played well, disappeared with the Sacramento Kings. Yeah, no, definitely, definitely. I mean, you would know. You would know. You were out there. You you were in Iraq. Like that's you were in the heart. You were in the thick of it. This is old. You talking '03? That's like George W. Bush time. That's like that was a serious time as well. Serious time as well. Thank you for that. Thank you for your service. If you want to share any, any lived in Jordan. Whoa, that's serious. That's serious. Shout out to Jordan, man. I know there's probably some things between Jordan and the United States that could be a little bit funny, but you know what I mean. I'm on here from around the world, and I got love for everybody. I believe you. I believe you. I believe you. I definitely want to see some great things, and I would love to be a part of change and encouragement. Uh, well, this channel is mostly dedicated to basketball. I have a few YouTube channels, but yeah, I'm a basketball guy. I appreciate basketball. Basketball's done a lot for me. It's broken my heart in a lot of ways, but yeah, man, just you know, always talking about it. Yeah, love for everybody, for real. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what's interesting is like the Olympics come around, and then we all, like, as human beings, we could be united, and as people in the United States, we could be united. And as soon as election time comes around, it's like, forget you again. But for that short little time, we had a little bit of unity. We had some respect, and I'm sure you remember 9/11. I'm from New Jersey, so like most of my family lives in New York. So that whole time with like the New York Mets and everything, like everybody was coming together. People were praying for each other. You know what I mean? It was just a different time. Uh, Omri Caspi, yeah, had a good career. Legend in the Israeli game. And I would say Jordan Farmar did a lot for Jewish basketball as well. The Israelis as well. BJ Mullins, big man, 7 footer. Oh, I feel like basketball is always a break. Basketball has always been a break for me because I never really made it to the degree that I wanted to. Everybody thinks they're better than they really are. I'm sure I would fall into that category as well. Basketball breaks your heart more than any woman could, because you always think of yourself in your mind in certain ways, and some people could like do what they envision in their mind on the court. I feel like I was decent, but you know, that's kind of how I felt about Pistol P. Maravich. Like he would like envision things and do it on the court. So it's always cool to see people like that. But yeah, no, that's really cool. Like thank you for your service. Like anybody in here who if anybody else jumps in this chat, definitely kick Shins. Show her some love for what she did for this country. Definitely taught me a lot. Like I would say a lot of the things I learned were through basketball, especially as a little kid. That's how I learned about a lot of the states in the United States. I never even heard of a lot of these places, and I would learn about them just because they had basketball teams or a lot of school, different places, travel different places, playing basketball. You know, um, went to Canada to play a few times, so yeah, it taught me a lot. So yeah, that's actually a good perspective. You know what I mean? And it connected me with a lot of people throughout the world. Like even this, like we wouldn't be connected right now if this wasn't for a little basketball. Uh, uh, yeah, wasn't for a little basketball experience. BJ Mullins, yeah, yeah, he was part of that like one and done era of players. Yeah. So, are you originally from Illinois, or you settled in Illinois? BJ Mullins. I feel like he was a good athlete. Yeah, one and done, big man. Shout out to BJ Mullins. Cool high school player. Um, Long arms. Probably good rim protector. I definitely remember BJ Mullins. Rodrigo Wow. Rodrigo Wow. Uh, Rodrigue, man. Like, good little, like, quick guard. French. Shout out to France for what they did in the Olympic tournament. Um, I hear you on that. I'm always looking to like do better economically. Looking for a new gig. Doing a lot of interviews right now. Um, yeah, always trying to grow too. Just trying to grow this channel as well. Multiple different income streams. No, I hear you. But I feel like it's a little bit different because I feel like if you served in the armed forces, like I know a lot. That's probably like a serious thing. I have another channel that probably this will probably fit, but like I'm all about all things. So I think we can probably stand to do a better job of taking care of people who serve the country. I'm not necessarily criticizing the government. I'm not criticizing anybody, but if I'm gonna say anybody probably should get a little bit more attention, um, that's a group. People with disabilities as well. So like when I vote, like I feel like those are things that I listen for. Oh shoot, crap. I don't have my. Hold on. I don't have my. I don't have my microphone. So the sound is probably trash. Ah, hold on. Gotta get my microphone. All right, back in. Let me know if you can hear me. Now I got the mic in. So I know the sound's gonna be better. Gee whiz, I forgot to put it in before I started. Sorry about that. Um yeah, Rodrigue, man. He did pretty. All right, you can hear it. Cool, cool. Um yeah, I'm wishing you well. Probably in Jesus' name, Lord, please give Kickshin some good opportunities to have a good situation where she's at. So definitely a little prayer up for you so you can, have the best life possible. I'm always wishing people well. Um Roderick, yeah, played well with the Dallas Mavs. I know Mark Cuban is a big I'm sure he's a fan of Roderick, and Roderick is one of those international guards. I feel like I'll add a lot of at one point a lot of the people who were coming over from overseas from Europe. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah, yeah, we gotta make it. We gotta support our armed services, men and women. We gotta figure out a way to do that. Hopefully, I could think of some things. We actually used to do fundraisers, like basketball fundraisers. I don't know if I have them up on my channel right now. I have some of the clips. I'll probably put like the full video. Probably have somebody do like a mix or something, or maybe I'll do it. Um, we would have like a former like NBA player come, and then we would do like raise money for an organization called Operation Injured Soldiers that would help injured vets um, who have like outings together so they could build that camaraderie as they're coming. Taj Gibson, New York guy, 6'9", one of Tom Thibodeau's boys, from the Chicago Bulls days. Taj Gibson went out there to USC to play with OJ Mayo that time. OJ Juice. Maybe I should do something on OJ Mayo. OJ Mayo was a phenom in high school. Man, OJ Mayo was he was one of those guys. He was one of those guys that was highly respected during the time growing up. Big deal in my time. But yeah, Taj Gibson, good player, solid defender. I know he was probably even with the Knicks last year, so we're talking back 2019 to 2014, 15 seasons. Can't be mad at a career that guy's probably made over $100 million in his life. Good defender, good player, first round pick. New York, New York. You know, played for his hometown team. Can't beat that life. Damari Carroll. I guess Damari Carroll was like the first era of the 3 and D kind of guy. Really good defender. Um, Damari played at Mizzou. You know, good athlete, long arms. Probably a really good pick. Look near the late part of the round and of the first round at number 27, Damari Carroll. Kind of like a trendsetter. So, nice career for Damari Carroll. I don't know if he made any all like defensive teams or anything like that. I'll check right now. But can't be mad at the career that man's had. No, won the NBA in season tournament championship in 2023. He's a coach right. Oh, as a coach, yeah, he's a coach right now. Last 2020, so good long career for him. Wayne Ellington, darn. Honestly, it's surprising to look back at this draft and see how low Wayne Ellington was in this draft order. Like Wayne Ellington was a top um high school player. We spoke about Gerald Henson. They played together at Episcopal Academy outside of Philadelphia. He's a Philly dude. Wayne Ellington, he loved Kobe. I remember hearing a lot about Wayne Ellington growing up. Oh yeah. No, no, no. I like the old school too. Probably get into some old school. Did a few videos on the old school. I imagine you're probably saying like the 80s. I like the 80s as well. This is just honestly like this is probably a little old school for some of these young kids. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, yeah, no, I hear you. The Suns, Jordan and the Bulls back in 93. Oh, really? Oh, that's pretty cool. Like Charles Barkley and Dan Marley and Kevin Johnson and all those guys. That was a good era for Suns basketball. Probably the best era. Oh, I don't know. They might have won the title in like the 70s, but that was a good era though. Wait, he would come? You would see him? You would see Charles Barkley? Um oh yeah, yeah. Utah Jazz with like Karl Malone and John Stockton and Jeff Hornacek and all those guys. Really? In Scottsdale. I've never even been to Arizona to be honest with you. That is cool. So, yeah, I mean, just in case anybody watches this back, she was saying that like she would see like the Phoenix Suns players out and about. So like Charles Barkley was like a cool dude and stuff. Oh, Wesley Person. Oh, whoa, you're taking it back. Whoa. Yeah, I feel like those are all the names my dad would like. Wesley Person, the Person brothers, Chuck Person, and oh wow, that's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. Yeah, maybe I'll do some more '90s. Yeah, Charles Barkley. He's a funny guy, right? He's always he's unique. Unique. Wesley Person. I feel like the Persons were like they were good shooters. Where are you now? Oh, like seeing where the players are now? Like where they are now in life? Hmm. Interesting stuff. Super interesting stuff. Oh, where am I now on my journey of life? Uh, it's been a lot of ups and downs trying to get my health together. Yeah, just trying to get my health together. Looking at new gigs. Mostly like project management. Most of my career has been in life sciences pharma. I actually yeah, and just trying to grow on the internet, trying to grow the channel, have a lot of film and from a lot of things that we done basketball wise. So trying to grow it. I always feel like if I had started this like 10, 15 years ago, I don't know where I would have been. Because I feel like a lot of the guys who were doing it back when I was doing it, back in the college days, so back in the times of this draft and, before the 2010s, all those guys are, all those people were killing it. Draft Express, Jonathan Givoni, shout out to him. He wasn't a big fan of me, but shout out to him. He's basically like the main guy for ESPN. Um, Box of Mess was with Aaron Simon and her. No, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Yeah, hopefully, yeah, I can add something to the landscape here. Just giving perspective. I used to do a lot of this basketball stuff. I used to help kids get into school, so I was way more like clued into basketball at that time. Uh, College, high school, international. So all these guys are familiar to me. And this is 2009, so this is if you're like 15 years old, or if you're a teenager right now, you were just being born around the time that this is happening. So, but this was probably around my prime era. But yeah, it would have been cool if I was doing it. Like the times where I was watching like Steph Curry come up. Like I remember him in high school. Like a lot of these guys, Kevin Durant. Like I remember like following all these guys. And like some of these guys I would go to camp. I mentioned Tyreek Evans earlier. I was at camp with Tyreek Evans when I was in high school. So a lot of these guys I remember because this was definitely my era. Um, yeah, Wayne was a big Kobe guy, 6'4", 6'4", two guard wing. Won a championship at North Carolina um, with Ty Lawson, who was also in this draft. Um, yeah, good, interesting time because I feel like they were kind of the updated version of what was happening before. So Roy Williams won that title in the earlier 2000s with Ray Felton, Sean May, and McCants, that big three. And then he kind of reloaded and put another big three with Ty Lawson, Wayne Ellington, um, Marvin Williams, and they were able to figure it out and do it again. So they all, they decided to go to the league. That was a good era of North Carolina basketball. Always grew up a North Carolina guy. Definitely one of the teams that I've always watched them. Always wanted them to beat Duke. I guess back then, I'm not as worried about that rivalry anymore. Now I just appreciate what all those people bring to the table. Duke, North Carolina, all those schools. The Yeah, thank you, thank you. Yeah, Wayne was really good, good shooter in the league. Played for a long time. Played for a long time. Similar, like he got drafted to the T Wolves, similar to Rashad McCants, right? Rashad McCants, 6'4", two guard, gets drafted to the T Wolves. So yeah, very similar in that era. Tony Douglas. Tony Douglas went to New York. He was good, solid player for New York out of Florida State. Good point guard. You know, had some strength to him. Could shoot the three a little bit. Like Tony Douglas was a good player. Tony Douglas was a good player. Um, Good college player. You know, says he was a senior. So one of those old school era guys that was able to play all 4 years and just really have a good career. I remember Tony Douglas with the Knicks. Good, solid point guard, could score the ball. I feel like he was probably more of a scoring point guard, and he could lock down on defense as well. So Tony Douglas was a really good player. Christian Ayanga of the DR Republic of Congo, my African brother right there. Last pick of the first round. Christian Ayanga, man, he was athletic. He was about like 6'5", athletic. Had a solid career. I'm sure he's killing overseas or did some great things overseas. Not killing, but like putting in work overseas. Christian Ayanga, definitely like he was one of those like sleeper picks where people like I don't know about him, but yeah, I respect it. Brought him in to play with LeBron. Like Christian Ayanga, man, like I like what he was. I like his game. He was from an earlier era. Let me see where he probably finished up. Still playing right now. I think now we're getting into the second round. Jeff Pendergraft, Arizona State. I feel like he was a good shooter, tall dude. Probably like in the nah, he wasn't really like a shooter. He was more like an inside guy, right? I'm thinking. Yeah, he was more like an inside guy. He was probably a little bit thinner in the lower body, but like good player, solid athlete, long wingspan. I feel like Jermaine Taylor, big time scorer, UCF, Central Florida, about 6'4" ish, maybe good two guard, great college scorer. Um, yeah, I can dig it. Dante Cunningham, Villanova. Yeah, Dante Cunningham was about 6'8". I believe he was from like the Maryland area. Good, solid athlete. Kind of guy that you add to the you want to win. Yeah, he was. Yeah, he went to Portland. Yeah, definitely remember him. He was good. Sergio Llull out of Spain, Real Madrid. I feel like he had a good career overseas. Don't remember too much about his NBA career, but definitely remember the name from Spain, from the prime of Spain basketball. So, oh, injuries. Oh shoot, I missed that part. Did you say like there was a lot of injuries? Sorry, I missed that part. Kicks. Dewan Summers, Georgetown, yeah. Dewan Summers out of Georgetown. That was a dope era of Georgetown basketball. Jeff Green, Roy Hibbert, Dewan Summers. I feel like he was a Maryland dude. That was just a dope era. Oh yeah. No, what'd you say about the injuries though? No, it's all good. Um for you if you want, like if there's any like PG kind of stories you could share about like some of your time maybe overseas, I'll you know, you never know. There's maybe something that somebody can gain and glean from and can really inspire them cuz I think it takes a had some injuries. Yeah, probably had some injuries. Um yeah, injuries always hits people. Maybe Christian Iyenga had some injuries too. Um yeah, but what Oh no, I appreciate that. Um appreciate the support. But yeah, would be interested in hearing any like stories, because the stuff lives on the internet. So if there's any stories that you PG stories or anything like you learned during your time in the Middle East, definitely be interested in hearing some of that. Um I don't know if I think some of this I think the chat still like you could see the chat when you go back. I think you can. But still um I could repeat it just in case cuz there's so much we could probably learn from a lot of your life experience. Nothing like experience. That's something my dad always says. Um yeah, Dewan Summers. Yeah, probably a little undersized as a forward, probably like 6'8", maybe 6'7". A little undersized four, but solid player, strong person, you know, good player. I feel like he was from that Maryland, like one of the prime areas of Maryland basketball. Sam Young, I feel like he was a big deal. We heard about him when I was in college. I went to West Virginia University, so Pittsburgh was kind of like our rival, right? So Sam Young, I'm sure he heard us a lot when we were in school. But Sam Young, yeah, I feel like he was from that area. I feel like he was from that Pittsburgh, Aliquippa. type of area. Strong dude. Ah, no, there's no way. There's nothing interesting to share. I'm sure. Did you have any? Was there any like good food that you had over there? Was there any good food that you had in Jordan or Iraq or anything? Good Middle Eastern food? Dewan Blair. That was interesting. Yeah, they got drafted one after the other. Sam Young and Dewan Blair did some damage together in the Big East at Pittsburgh. Definitely Dewan Blair, another Pittsburgh area kind of guy. He might be from Aliquippa. Uh, okay, Man Sef. Is Man Sef is that a Middle Eastern food? And if it is, have you been able to duplicate it or at least find it here in the United States? Sam Young, let's see where he's from. Oh, he's from Maryland. Oh, he was from Friendly. Oh yeah, actually I do kind of remember that because one dude that I went to school with at Fairmont State, I went to Pierpont, the junior college at Fairmont, but I think yeah, but Dewan Blair is from Pittsburgh, went to Shinley. Wow. Who is Sam Young? Sam Young was we're doing the 2009 draft. He was from the University of Pittsburgh. He's from Maryland area dude. He was about 6'6", wing, probably more of like a slasher kind of guy, solid defender, really good college player. And I was just saying how him and Dewan Blair played for the Spurs for a long time, for some good years, and they played together in college, and they were drafted second round, number 36, number 37. Oh, okay. Mansef is chunks of lamb, Arab yogurt. Oh, okay. On pita with rice, and you roll in a bowl and pop. Oh, nice. That honestly almost reminds me of like the Indian food with the yogurt. I don't know if anybody has had like the Indian food. Wow. Have you been able to find that here in the United States at all? Oh, another good one. John Brock. I feel like a lot of these guys were super similar. Heck, it's different. So the USA lambs are a little bit too fat, you feel like they're not as natural, you think? Yeah, Slay. What up, Slay? Um, yeah, 2009. It was a good draft. Actually, a really good draft. It was Curry. It was DeRozan, as you mentioned. Number one pick was Blake Griffin. Jeff Teague was in this draft. Drew Holiday, I believe, was in this draft. Like it was actually pretty stacked. Like even like the second round picks, you got a lot of value. Sam Young, Dwan Blair. Um, yeah, Drew Holiday was number 17. Wayne Ellington was at near the end of the first round. Gerald Henderson out of Duke was in the first round. Like this was actually a pretty dope draft. Like a lot of like uh oh, they're not big and fat in the United States. They used to make the shawarma uh juicier. Huh. Got you, got you, got you. Is there like do you feel like there's any like lessons that you learned from like your time overseas? Do you feel like there was any like elements of teamwork or any lessons that you like kind of like take with you that you know made you a stronger you love Mediterranean food, heck yeah. Shout out to the Mediterranean food. Greek food, Middle Eastern food. Stag draft. Um, yeah, John Brockman. I feel like he was from like a Washington State kind of guy, state of Washington. As I always say, I feel like they're one of the more underrated states when it comes to hoopers. Lived all over, always learned something. Yeah. Do you ever hear from any of your old comrades in a sense? You ever hear from them on like Facebook or anything? John Brockman, another guy. Like I feel like Sam Young, John Brockman, and Dewan Blair are all like similar kind of undersized. Yeah, I feel like they're really good. Like I feel like that Washington State has like, a lot of good players. Zach Levine, Isaiah Thomas, um, a lot of good players. Jamal Crawford. Oh, Malachi Flynn. Malachi. Yeah, shout out to Malachi Flynn, man. San Diego State, man. Like he's just a good player. Like I just feel like he needs the right kind of in the right kind of role. You know what I mean? He could be really good. He just knows the game. Kind of has like a little Fred Van Vliet. Yeah, he was a dope player in college. Dope player in college. Yeah, like Fred Van Vliet vibe, like kind of flow to him. Um, Jerebko. Yeah, Detroit. Yeah, I remember him playing Detroit. Feel like he's another like good, like strong, tough guy, big guy, European center or European big man who fundamentally sound. Jerebko. I feel like he played in the league for a while though. Jerebko. 2009 finished with the Golden State Warriors in 2019. So played for 10 seasons. Jerebko. Shout out to him. Derek Brown. Oh man, Derek Brown. I feel like Derek Brown, like Tyus Jones. Yeah, I can see Tyus Jones. I feel like actually Tyus Jones is probably um maybe even a better comparison. Tyus Jones, I feel like Tyus Jones is another guy who's underrated. His shout out to his brother Trey Jones, who was starting for San Antonio. I mean, they're probably going different directions since they drafted Stephon Castle and they got Chris Paul. But those smart guys. Those guys are always there's always those guys like where like the regular kind of people, not super tall, not super athletic. Yeah, exactly. Like those like regular type of dudes, and people are like, "Oh man, like it's always tough to like those are the type of people who like won't get drafted like super high, except for really like Trey Young. Trey Young's like the exception, but like those regular type of people who just make a career playing the NBA for 10 years. I mean, Trey Young, Tyus Jones has been in the league for almost, I think he was what, 2014 or 2013, after his freshman year at Duke with Jahlil Okafor. And that dude's been like one of the tops in elite assist turnover ratio, one of the best ever, if not the best assist turnover ratio point guard ever. You know what I mean? I think he's trying to bet, as they say on yourself. He took the 1 year, $3 million, like vets minimum or something. You know what I mean? But honestly, I think he could be a starter on a team like Washington or something, like a team that needs somebody to like be steady and be like heady and be like a leader. You know what I mean? I think he's a good player. Like he's not super spectacular. No, no, he just signed his little I'm not gonna say his little $3 million. Listen, I'm sure all of us would take $3 million, but I think he's a guy who could make a lot more. You know what I mean? Like what I was hearing is that the Lakers could have gave him like 160. You know what I mean? But guys are gonna be making a lot more now. Like Jason Tatum signed a $300 million deal. Exactly, exactly, right? Yeah, yeah. You need those like reliable teammates that are just, quality human beings and people who like really don't make mistakes, especially if you're a backup point guard. You probably want to be like a microwave scorer who could just come in and just or you want to be a person who like never turns the ball over and never really makes mistakes. I feel like San Antonio will love him, but it's probably why they liked his brother. Um, Derek Brown. I remember like people talking about Derek Brown a lot. Um, he was probably like 6'7", 6'8", maybe 6'6", but like he was more like a probably a little undersized and like wasn't as much of a perimeter guy, but like athletic, long arms, athletic. You know what I mean? I'm surprised he went in the second round now that I'm seeing this right now because I remember the hype was really there for him coming out of Xavier, but good athlete though, Derek Brown. Jody Meeks, probably one of the steals of this draft. This was like a time where Kentucky basketball was on the decline a little bit. Yeah, it was on the decline a little bit. So maybe that kind of hurt his draft stock. But Jody Meeks at about what 6'4", he was a microwave scorer. Like he was the kind of guy who'd get hot. You know what I mean? Had some good year, did some good stuff with the Lakers. You know, he was a guy who was just tough. You know, never backed down from anybody. You know, that era of Kentucky basketball. Can't be mad at it. Him and Pat Patterson playing together. Um, who was it? Tubby. It might have been Tubby Smith was the coach at that time. But shout out to Jody Meeks. Had a really good career, probably in the league for at least 10 years. Another big name out of this draft that a lot of people will not really remember. Jody Meeks, right? Yeah, Jody was like he was a microwave. Like he was one of them dudes, man. Jody was tough. Jody was tough. Um, this is a big name that a lot of people will probably be interested to hear. Pat Beverly. Pat Bev is like one of those guys when you're talking about like a backup point guard, like tough dude. Like whenever, like I was just, you know, when I think of Pat Bev, I always, saying in my mind earlier today about Pat Bev, like he is Chicago. Like when I think of Chicago, I think of Pat Bev. This man went to Thurgood Marshall High School. Like I'm not even from Chicago, but I know Thurgood Marshall High School is no joke. You know what I mean? I know Cappy Pondexter, one of my favorite women's basketball players of all time. Shout out to Rutgers basketball. Uh, I'm a New Jersey guy, so Rutgers basketball. C. Vivian Stringer. Yeah. He signed yeah, I think he's gonna go off in Israel. He's gonna check people up. Oh, Shrimp. Oh, Detlef Shrimp. Gotta be one of the more underrated players of the 90s. Detlef Shrimp was dope. Detlef Shrimp, really dope player. I feel like Detlef Shrimp honestly was ahead of his time. Like I feel like he would have been better in this era. Him, the Rain Man, Sean Kemp, Gary Payton, 90. They were running the West Coast, honestly. They lost in that first round to Denver that year with Mahmoud and all those guys, but Detlef Shrimp would have been better in this era where he could shoot a lot of threes. Like Detlef Shrimp would have been like, what is he like 6'9", 6'10"? Like, dude was like, oh, Stockton. Like, I might have to do like a Stockton story because Stockton is just one of those dudes. That's another really good draft too. Stockton's draft 1984. Him, Jordan, Hakeem Olajuwon, Charles Barkley. That's a great draft. That's probably one of the more legendary drafts of all time. Maybe look at that one as well. But Stockton was one of one defensively. He would have, yeah, yeah. I mean, I feel like Stockton. Oh, how often am I live? Every once in a while, definitely. Feel free to you want you subscribe. So next time I go live. I'm gonna try to finish this draft today, and then I'll probably look into another draft to do. Um, yeah, and then I'm always posting like videos daily in the shorts and stuff. But I appreciate you, Slay Bay, for coming on. Definitely. If there's anything you want me to like say about you or anything like that, sometimes people want me to shout them out or shout out something that they're working on. Like I'm not crazy with the, amount of subs or anything like that, like nothing super crazy, but definitely appreciate you jumping on and appreciate the input and everything. I'm wishing you and your loved ones well. God bless in Jesus' name. Definitely wish you well. Haha, it's all good. Ah, man, appreciate you. Um, yeah, Pat Bev, Thurgood Marshall High School, man. He's been through a lot in his life. Pat Bev, got kicked out of school at Arkansas. Um, some things that he maybe shouldn't have been doing, but I remember Pat Bev when he was in high school. He was on the Chicago. It was a show about like New York versus Chicago or something versus like Hoopers, and like it was him and a few other guys. Um, Pat Bev was there was another guy who played in the NBA for a little bit, but Pat Bev was definitely the most successful one out of those guys, man. Pat Bev is just a fighter. It says here that he played in Ukraine. Like respect to Ukraine and all the things that they've been going through over the years as well. Um, sometimes we get lost in the sauce and we start talking about sports and things like this, but definitely want to send the respect and condolences to them and what they're going through. And also the people of Russia, you know, civilians are, they're regular people just trying to live their lives. So I have no ill will versus anybody in any country and wishing people in Russia and Ukraine well. Yeah, I can see that. Pat Bev, yeah, he might say some things. He's very personal. He's a person who says what he feels and what's in his heart. So I could understand what you're saying. I could understand what you're saying. He's a guy who just probably just been through a lot of tough times in life, and yeah, Pat Bev, just an interesting dude. I saw him play last year when I went to the Sixers game. They were playing against the Atlanta Hawks. Bogdanovich. Got you. Yeah. Um. Yeah. Pat Bev carved out a really good career for himself. Yeah. Yeah. It was a pretty decent game. It was pretty early in the season. Grew up some of the highlights um, on the shorts. This is a lot of interesting storylines. Was watching Pat Bev, George Leonard, and he feels like that's part of the reason why Kawhi Leonard has been injured a lot. And I can understand that. And I always thought the same thing about Jimmy Butler. But if you look at the story arc of Jimmy Butler, Kawhi Leonard, like almost the same exact thing, right? They weren't super highly recruited, skilled as they are now. They weren't athletic, long arms, defensive guy who said teams, and then they had to work their way. So both those dudes, both those dudes, they worked really hard, and he was saying that's probably the reason why Kawhi Leonard gets injured a lot, especially with lower leg injuries, because he just works so hard in his game. And you can see the difference from when Kawhi Leonard first entered the league, even from his college days at San Diego State. Um, Next was Marcus Thornton, 6'4" ish, 6'3", maybe 6'4" ish, two guard, out of LSU, big time scorer, you know, bucket and a half. Just a guy who could put it in the rim. Strong body, big body guard. You know, Marcus Thornton, like he's the kind of guy like I imagine overseas he was going nuts. I imagine in TBT if he played in the TBT, I'm sure he was going. Yeah, there we go. Um, they say the lead. Yeah, there we go. Plays in the TBT with the Aberdeen Drive. Like I was just saying, like, he's a TBT kind of guy. Like, he's just gonna go off. He was named to the all rookie team. Um, Averaged 14 and a half points per game. All rookie second team in 2010. Like, that guy is just a born scorer. A natural born scorer, Marcus Thornton. Um, some interesting ones now that we're looking 2019, 2009. Some other interesting ones. Chase Budinger. I didn't know he was drafted in the second round. Honestly, if you would have asked me if Chase Budinger was drafted in the second round, I wouldn't have thought so. Funny enough, Chase Budinger played in for the U.S. men's volleyball team in this past Olympics. And what I thought was really cool was how, like, the basketball players, the legends, right? You had Bron, you had KD, like, really embracing him, like, really showing him love, giving him confidence, like, yo, man, I'm watching for you, I'm rooting for you. That's a beautiful thing when you have like two of the greatest of your generation rooting for you. But Chase Budinger was a big time high school player, big time high school volleyball player as well. Remember him in high school playing with I believe he played with JD Luster, who played at Wyoming, who's probably I believe he's right now, small little point guard. Shout out to JD Luster. Um, Played with Brandon Jennings. Brandon Jennings, he had that Achilles injury, but Brandon Jennings was a high school phenom. Played over in Italy. Brandon Jennings, I think, was in this draft actually. He was supposed to go to the University of Arizona, but decided not to do it. Um, Chase Budinger played with Kevin Love. They all played together on the SoCal All Stars. So shout out to the SoCal kids, SoCal All Stars. That AAU team was legendary at that time, if anybody remembers them. Nick Calathis, another interesting one. Nick Calathis also played in this past Olympics that just finished the few days ago, um, with Giannis the Greek Freak, Antetokounmpo. Um, Played at Florida. Nick Calathis was a big time high school recruit, bigger point guard, probably around 6'4", 6'5". Solid player, solid shooter, solid playmaker. Nick Calathis, man. Interesting enough, he was drafted by Minnesota, traded to Dallas, it says, but like Minnesota was stacking up point guards in this draft. They got Johnny Flynn and they got Ricky Rubio. Heavy point guard draft. Danny Green, another North Carolina guy, won a title at University of North Carolina with his buddies Ty Lawson and Wayne Ellington. Um, New York guy from Long Island. Long Island dude, Manhasset or Manhasset. Long Island kid. His brother, his brother, his younger brother played at Manhattan in New York. I think he might have transferred to San Francisco as well. Um, I forgot his brother's name though. Henrik Norrell. I do not remember Henrik Norrell. Yeah, that's a player in this draft I do not remember at all. Did he play in the NBA? No, he never played in the NBA. He was drafted. He's probably a draft and stash guy. Never heard of Henrik Norrell. Selected by the Minnesota Timberwolves. Stopped playing in 2021. I'm sure he was a really good player. He's from the Netherlands. Played in the Dutch basketball league. I'm sure he was crushing it over there. I've never heard of him. Never heard of Henrik Norrell. Taylor Griffin, brother of Blake Griffin, played in the NBA for a little bit. Probably a little smaller than Blake, probably about 6'7". Tough guy, good defender, good athlete. Sergi Gladyar, barely remember him. Shout out to him though. He's from the Ukraine. Yeah, he's another guy. Did not play in the NBA. Respect to him though. Ukrainian. Stopped playing in 2019. Played in France. Really good career in France. So shout out to him. Barely kind of remember him. Goran Sutton played at. I don't really remember him. Played at Michigan State. Did he play in the NBA? I don't know if he played in the NBA either. Some of these guys didn't actually play, but still careers overseas. Did not play in the NBA. Probably was good at Michigan State though. All right, so Jack McClinton. Jack McClinton, really good point guard, probably about 6'1" or so. Okay, two guard, 6'1", like smaller two guard. Played in the NBA for a little bit. Drafted by the Spurs. Good college player at the University of Miami. Um, Probably like right after. I don't know if he played with Guillermo Diaz, who was like super athletic kid from Puerto Rico. I don't know if he played with Guillermo, but like in that era. So shout out to Jack McClinton, really good college player. Was hoping. AJ Price. Not really from New York City. Forgot what part of New York he was from, but that's where he's from. Really good player in college, really good player in high school. AJ Price. Yeah, shout out to him. Shout out to AJ Price. Another guy from the Olympics, Nando De Colo. French legend, I would say. Played in the looking at some of his EuroLeague MVP, EuroLeague Final Four MVP, EuroLeague champion, like one of the greatest European point guards that ever faced him up. Nando De Colo did a great job with France in this last Olympics. Legend. I don't know how old Nando De Colo is. I would say he's probably pushing 40 years old at this point. 37. Wow. Great career. Nando De Colo, you are a legend. Robert Vaden. Yeah, UAB. Um, Remember the name. Probably scored a lot of buckets at UAB. Probably played in the league for a little bit. Um, Definitely remember his name. No, he did not end up playing in the NBA, but definitely remember the name. Good college player. Oh, another good player from this draft, Patty Mills. Patty Mills, man. Patty Mills, St. Mary's. I remember his matchup with Steph Curry in the NIT. One of my all-time favorite, probably college basketball players. One of my favorite NBA players, Patty Mills. Probably only about 6 feet tall. The Australian Aborigine made history. Um, he was part Bering Strait. Um, Two different like Aboriginal um, ethnicities, I guess if you want to call them, from his parents, and Patty Mills for an Australian, one of the best Australian players ever, the best Aboriginal player ever. I'm sure he's given a lot of hope to the Aborigine community. Um, Legend, legend, big shot maker, big shot taker. Played well for Australia, led them to the fourth place in the Olympics. Um, Won some titles, still doing it in the NBA. Signed with Miami Heat. Yeah, won a title in 2014 with the Spurs. Shout out to Patty Mills, man. International legend. Ahmad Nivens, St. Joe's. Feel like he was a Philly, like a PA kid, power forward, 6'8", 6'9". Just did his work in the paint. Solid player, solid guy, good career in college. You know, Maybe played a year or two in the league. Don't want to, you know, um, nah, he actually didn't play in the league. Hmm. But definitely a good college player from St. Joe's. Played, played in the, no, not in the G League either. an assistant coach now. Amir Pre, 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 Pred, Prezelic, Bosnian, Turkey. I guess she's from Turkey. No, he's from Bosnia, Herzegovina, Yugoslavia. I wonder exactly what his ethnicity would be. But is he Bosnian? Or I don't know. Never played in the NBA, but had a great career in Turkey. I believe he's probably still playing in Turkey right now. Shout out to him. Lester Hudson. Oh, probably one of my favorite all-time college players. UT Martin, Tennessee Martin. Man, he was killing in college. Probably one of the best scorers in the nation. Undersized guard. I feel like I can watch his highlights right now. Just a good player, good athlete. Just a guy who just had heart. Shout out to Danny Ainge for drafting him. Lester Hudson. I remember him getting like some talk. Yeah, they're saying one of the greatest seasons in Ohio Valley Conference history. Yeah, just a dope college player. Very underrated. Um Chinelemu, Chinamelu Elonu, my Nigerian brother. I don't know if he actually played in the NBA. Texas A&M, it says, but I think he played at Michigan State before Texas A&M. If I'm correct, could be wrong about that. But I think he transferred from Michigan State to there. Good big man, strong. Robert Dozier, Memphis guy, good athlete. This was back when Calipari was at Memphis. He did not play in the league either, but a strong player, probably. About what is he, 6'9"? Yeah, 6'9", 215. Yeah, good draft. Really good draft. I enjoyed this draft. I enjoyed a lot of the names like Pat Beverly, Blast from the Patty Mills, Ahmad Nivens, even the guys who didn't play in the league, and some guys that I don't really remember or know. A few names that I didn't really know, who probably had really great careers overseas. Thanks to everybody who joined, who watched this. Feel free to check it out. Feel free to look up some of these players and see a little bit more. But this was definitely a really, really good draft. I appreciate shout out to Kick Shins. Very cool person. Served our country. Let's always salute and respect everybody who served our country, because that's huge. That's a sacrifice. That's respect for the country. And let's also show love to people from around the world who may be from different countries, maybe don't have some of the same opportunities, but they're all human beings like us, and it's love for them as well. Slay Bait, appreciate you. Anybody who wants to subscribe, feel free to subscribe to the channel. Post videos every day. I'm gonna probably try to post another short. God bless in Jesus' name. Amen.